Hey guys, how we doing? Um, so here's what we're gonna start doing. Your sub's gonna pass out some guided notes, and what we're going to do is you guys are going to fill those out while I go through things. So this is a review all over everything that we have done this semester. So there's four major things we've done. We've done the cells, we've done body systems, we've done Newton's laws, and we've done energy. Okay, so for those four things, we are going to go back to each four of them and we are going to review them. So I've created this PowerPoint and it's throwing everything from the semester that we have learned. So we are going to go back through that and we are going to reteach things and hopefully remind you guys of some things that we've learned this semester. And eventually, we are going to take a final test before Christmas break. So hopefully, we can get this done before the last week of before Christmas break. But if we need to go into that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then we will. So let's get started. Wish I could be there though to do this in person, but this is the way we're going to do it. So um, bear with me, okay? All right, characteristics of living things. There are 7, okay? So living things have one or more cells. When we looked at cells over the microscopes and we looked at pictures of those, okay, there's a unicellular organism and then there is a multicellular organism. Okay, things that use energy. So we use energy when we run, jump, even when we're sleeping, we are using energy. Okay, living things respond to stimuli. Remember back to when we went through this and I scared the crap out of whoever was next to me. Okay, responding to stimuli, being scared. Okay, we talked about living things reproduce, whether that's asexually or sexually. Okay, we'll get into more of these here in a minute. Living things grow and then develop. Okay, you're not the same size as you were when you were born. They grow and develop. Okay, things, living things maintain internal conditions. Okay, this is homeostasis. We've talked a lot about homeostasis, so we should understand what that is. All right. Living things contain genetic material. Okay. If you guys remember, our genetic material is our DNA, and that is found in our nucleus of our cells. All right. And move on. Okay. So, made of one or more cells. Unicellular, that is one cell. Okay. This is our bacteria. That is an example of something that is unicellular. It is created with one cell. Okay. Multicellular organisms. That's you and I and animals, plants. Okay. This is multiple cells. Remember, we talked about UNI, meaning one, and multi, MULT, meaning many. Okay. So you have uni, that is one, and multi, that is many. All right. Okay, needing to survive. We have two different types of those. So there's energy to survive. We either get our energy from the sun or we get our energy from consuming nutrients from their environments. Okay, so autotrophs like plants, okay, they do what's called photosynthesis. Okay, remember the chloroplast in a plant cell. Okay, it's the only thing in a plant cell that makes it have that undergoes photosynthesis. So our chloroplasts in our plant cells mixed with sunlight creates food for those plants. So they are called autotrophs. Okay, heterotrophs are you and I. We get our energy by consuming nutrients from our environment. And no, that does not include Takis and random stuff that you bring into the classroom. Okay. All right, responding to stimuli. So factors in the environment the living things react to. So light, temperature, sound, etc. Okay, we talked about going outside. If it's really cold outside, okay, our body responds to stimuli by our body being cold. Okay, we'll start warming up to respond for that. Okay, start talking about homeostasis. Okay, trying to regulate, responding to that stimuli. Okay, trees also. Okay, you can put this next to your notes. Trees grow towards the light. Okay, so wherever the sunlight is, it's growing towards that light and it's responding to the stimuli. Remember the video that we watched on living things or characteristics of living things when it talked about if a tree falls over, okay, but the roots stay in the ground, it's going to continue instead of growing horizontally because it fell over, okay, instead of it growing back out this way, it's going to start growing towards the light. It's going to grow up because it's responding to that stimuli. All right. Now let's be mature here. All living things reproduce. Okay. Now this is either two sex cells. Okay. So mom, dad, or sperm and egg, or it is asexually. So only one parent cell is needed. Okay. So if you look on the bottom left, that is bacteria. So they are asexual reproductions. Okay. They just split in two. So that second one, okay, so if it splits in two, the first one and the second one are going to be exactly identical. Okay. Now, obviously, two sex cells are required for sexual, and they are not going to be exactly alike. Okay. They will have similarities, but not exactly alike. Okay. Number 5, growing and developing. Okay, so each cell divides to make new cells. This is cell division. It results in growth. Okay, so our fingers and hands and feet and bodies are not the exact same length and not the exact same size as it was when we were born. Okay, we grow, we develop over time, we get bigger. Okay. Some cells become specialized and perform different jobs. This is called differentiation. Okay. Differentiation. So our cells, let's say from conception, okay, starts out as one cell and two cells going together, forming a one full fertilized cell. Okay. And then that goes through meiosis and 4 cells and 8 cells, and it just continues to go on and on and on and on and on. Well, those cells eventually will branch off and form brain cells and bone cells and blood cells and skin cells and organ cells and nerve cells and all of the different cells that we have inside of our bodies. They differentiate themselves, creating all of those different types of cells. Okay. Okay, maintaining homeostasis. We know that our human body temperature, we've went through it a couple of different times, is 98.6 degrees. Our bodies are always going to try to maintain that specific temperature. If we are lower or higher than that 98.6, then there's a problem. Okay, so it's relatively stable internal environments. Okay, within certain ranges. So we are maintaining a full internal, safe, and stable environment. That is what our homeostasis is. Okay. All right. Number 7, all living things have DNA. Okay. We know what DNA is. It is our genetic material. In every single cell of your body is located DNA. Okay. In the nucleus, you can find DNA. And one strand of DNA in your nucleus has all of the genetic material that you will need from the day you are born until you die. It has all of the proteins, and it will tell you whether or not you are going to have a big nose or if you are going to have blue eyes, brown hair, black hair, green eyes, whatever your eyes and ears are going to look like, and nose and facial features and skin color, all of that, down to whatever disease you are going to get when you are older, down to the very polynucleotides. It has everything in your DNA from the day you're born till the day you die. It's crazy. So all living things have DNA. If it does not have DNA and you cannot see that DNA underneath a microscope, it is not a living thing. Okay. Okay. DNA passes on genetic information from one generation to the next. So when you guys grow up and get married and have children, you will pass on the same genetic codes that you have that will cross over with um, whoever you marry one day. And those will cross over and be passed on to your offspring as well. Okay. Now I'm explaining some of these in more detail, and you don't need to write all these things down because it's not going to be on the test, but we're reteaching some of the things so you can go back and look at this down later in life or later down the road. Okay. All right. Getting into cells, cell theory. We have went over this multiple times. There are three different characteristics in cell theory. Okay, number one, all things are composed of cells. Everything living, all living things are composed of cells. If it is living, it has cells. Number two, cells are the basic unit of structure and function in living things. Okay, they are the basic. If you broke it all down to the basic units of life, you have cells. And lastly, new cells are produced from existing cells. You cannot create a cell. It is impossible. Okay. All cells come from pre-existing cells. So if there was a cell, okay, so let's take you for instance. Okay. We just talked about sexual reproduction. Okay, you have an egg, you have sperm, combines. That is two cells creating life. And so all cells, because you are made of cells, come from pre-existing cells. Okay. All right, so there's two different types of cells. We know this because there is a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. Okay. Pro meaning before, karyon meaning nucleus or kernel. So a prokaryotic cell contains cell membranes and cytoplasm, but it does not have a nucleus. Okay. So pro, no. Pro, no. Okay. So instead of the DNA being in the nucleus, it's scattered throughout the cytoplasm. Okay. So an example of this is bacteria. Bacteria does not have a nucleus. So think of it as a plastic bag. Okay. So inside that plastic bag, you have a ball. Okay. That is your nucleus. This plastic bag does not have one. So all of those DNA strands are floating around in that bag, just free as a bird. Okay. There's no nucleus to keep it in one area. Okay. It's just floating around there. Now, a eukaryotic cell, you meaning true, or you do. Okay. So pro, no, you do. Okay. Nucleus or kernel. Okay. So karyon still means that nucleus or kernel. So you, true, or you do, contains a nucleus that holds DNA and membrane bound organelles. Okay. So think of that plastic bag again. Okay. Well, you have a plastic bag, and inside of it is that ball, that nucleus, and all the DNA is found inside of that instead of floating around in the cytoplasm. So, examples of this, excuse me, it's late. All plants, animals, some fungi, and some microorganisms. Okay. But the biggest thing is all plants and all animals are eukaryotic cells. Okay. All right. So we're going to quickly go through all of the organelles. All right. So cell membranes. We know that these are in animal cells and plant cells. Okay. All right. So a cell membrane is that that phospholipid bilayer. Okay. So if you see that there's this here. Okay, so there's a top side and there's a bottom side in the picture. Okay, so with that, sorry, it's a phospholipid bilayer. So the outermost layer in an animal cell, this phospholipid bilayer is going to protect the cell, but also controls what comes in and out. Okay, think about it as a bouncer. Okay, so bouncer sitting outside. All right, no, you can't come in. Yes, you can come in. Go ahead. No, you can't come in. Okay, so if it's toxins, it's going to say no. Okay, just keep walking. If it's something else, so if it's proteins, if it's water, if it's nutrients, then it's going to say, yeah, go ahead, come on in. Okay, so that cell membrane is that bouncer on the outside of a cell that controls what comes in and what goes out. Okay. Cell wall. Okay, so this is found only in plant cells, not in animal cells. An animal cell just has that cell membrane. Okay, this cell wall is only in plant cells. Okay, so this is the outermost layer in a plant cell. And the cell membrane sits just right on the inside of that cell membrane or cell wall. I'm sorry. Okay, so this protects the cell, but also controls what comes in and out of the cell. But the biggest part that you need to remember with the cell wall is, okay, it's a box. All right, it's a box. Okay, plants stand up. They don't wilt. They don't fall over. They stand up. They're straight. Okay, that straight what gives it its structure to stand up is that cell wall. Okay, without the cell wall, without the water, without that rigid structure that it gives it, okay, all those plants would just fall down. Okay, and they wouldn't stand straight up. Okay. All right, your cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is that jelly-like substance where all the plants or all the cell membrane. It's late. All right, give me a break. Okay. It's that jelly-like substance where all parts of the cell are found. Okay, so this yellow part inside of the cell, it is all of that. Okay, remember we talked about that plastic bag again. So pull that back out, and you have a big plastic bag, and you fill it full of, let's say, clear Orbeez. Okay, I know you guys like playing with Orbeez. So clear Orbeez, and then you take all your organelles and you put it in the bag as well, and then fill the rest up with water and seal it. Okay. Now you're not gonna, if you know anything about Orbeez, clear Orbeez, you won't see them, but you know that they're there. Okay. And they basically give the cell that structure. If you didn't have anything in there and you just throw all your organelles in the plastic bag and then zip it up, you just have a plastic bag full of organelles that are sitting at the bottom. Okay, that cytoplasm allows them to float around on the inside of that cell. Okay, and it doesn't make everything drop down to the bottom of the cell. Okay, it gives it structure. All right. Ribosomes, pretty simple here. Their job is to create proteins. Okay, so they're found both in plant and animal cells. Okay, found in the endoplasmic reticulum, and they make it look rough. Okay, that's what this picture is right here. It has those little bumps on it. Okay, now the basic function, the only function of a ribosome is that it creates chains of proteins for the cell. Okay, proteins are extremely important. That's what our genetic material, our DNA is transcribing is proteins that it's going to send throughout the whole body to make us grow and develop and think and feel and um, all of the different things that create us and make it possible for everyday life are created by those proteins from the ribosomes. Okay. I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to have to go quick. All right, lysosomes. It's a trash can. Okay, found both in plant and animal cells. These are found free floating throughout the cell. Okay, this removes waste from the cell. Old organelles. Okay, they're made of enzymes. Okay, you see right above my picture enzymes. Enzymes are things that break down different materials. So it's going to break everything down and then dispose of it out of the cell. Okay, so it is our trash cans, our trash guys, the janitors that come and get the trash out of our room every day, with filled with Takis and all the food that you guys continue to try to eat in my room, which I'm sure you're doing while I'm gone. But that's beside the point. Anyways, so taking out the trash. Okay, that's what they're doing here as for the lysosomes. They're taking out that trash. Okay. Endoplasmic reticulum, or ER, there is two. There are a smooth and a rough. The smooth has different jobs than the rough. Okay, so this is found both in plant and animal cells next to the nucleus. It's always going to be right next to the nucleus. Okay, creates protein. So that's part of it, and then filters out harmful substances from the cell. So your rough is going to create proteins. Your smooth is going to filter out harmful substances. Okay. All right. Vacuoles. Okay. These are basically the storage units. So anything that needs to be stored in a cell, mostly water, is found both in plant and animal cells. Okay. It's much larger in plant cells because there's more water that needs to be stored. Okay. So it holds water, waste, and provides structure for a plant cell. Okay. All right. Our Golgi apparatus, or our Golgi body. Probably my favorite one because it is so complex and it is super interesting to me. So, our Golgi apparatus basically looks like a stack of pancakes. Okay, put a little syrup on it, delicious. So, found both in plant and animal cells. This packages up proteins and sends them throughout the cell to do their jobs. So, the ribosomes create the proteins. The proteins then go to the Golgi apparatus, and the Golgi apparatus basically checks off to make sure that it's right. Okay, it has so many functions in there. So, um, it even checks it against the DNA, makes sure that the protein is correct, and then it packages it up and nice little bow on the top of it and ships it out to wherever it needs to go. So think of a Golgi apparatus being the Amazon of your cells. It is shipping proteins all over your cells and the other cell, that cell, and the other cells, and throughout your whole entire body. So it is the Amazon of your cells, of your body. Okay. Mitochondria, the powerhouse. Okay. This thing creates ATP. Okay. This is now ATP is created through a process, and write this down, called cellular respiration. If you don't know how to spell it, ask the sub. Okay. All right. So these are found both in plant and animal cells. Okay. It's the powerhouse of the cell, creating energy for the cell so it can do its job. If a cell doesn't have mitochondria, there's no energy. There's no battery. Have you ever tried to turn on something that has no batteries in it? Okay. Especially when the power goes out and all your flashlights have dead batteries because your kids play with them all the time and then now they don't work. True story. But okay, so if it doesn't have a battery in it, it's not going to work. So these are the batteries for the cell. Mitochondria are the batteries for the cell. It's the powerhouse. Okay. All right, the big bad, the nucleus. Okay, found at the very center of both plant and animal cells. Okay, now the nucleus is this whole thing as a whole. Okay, so you have a nuclear envelope on the outside, which controls what goes in and out of it, of the nucleus. You have the chromatin, which are those chromosomes or the DNA that's inside. Okay. And then you have the nucleolus on the inside. That's the very center of the nucleus. And what that does is it creates protein, it creates ribosomes. And then the ribosomes create the proteins, which sends it throughout the whole body. So basically, nucleolus creates the ribosomes. The ribosomes leave the nucleus. They take DNA, the ribosomes take that DNA, okay, gets sent out to the ribosomes. Ribosomes decode it, create proteins. Those proteins from the ribosomes go to the Golgi apparatus. They get packaged up and then they go out through the whole body. Okay, so everything starts right here in the nucleolus. All right. Okay, so this contains genetic information for eukaryotic cells and tells the cell what to do, as well as your body. Okay, now again, this is a nucleus. So eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. You do, or you true. All right, just to reiterate that. Okay, now you can watch this video to reintroduce you to all of these things. Now, this video, I believe, is a bit longer. So I'm not going to stay on this recording while the video plays. Okay, so I'm going to end the video here. If you have any questions, you can ask the sub. I've given her a cheat sheet or an answer key. Okay. If you need to go back and watch the videos again, okay, just to make sure that you have all of the answers, these guided notes are going to be graded. I promise you that. Now, there is a comprehensive midterm review that you are also going to be required to do. Okay. So, not only are you going to be doing these guided notes, but there is a review that you will be doing as well. Okay. So probably two different reviews, and hopefully I can come back before that second review is due. All right. So fill out the guided notes. Make sure that you have everything for this section. If you don't, go back and fill it out. So that way you can fill out the comprehensive midterm review and do it correctly. All right. Now I'm going to make another video after this. And if you have any questions, ask the sub. All right. Miss you guys. Talk to you soon.